Wow!
After 7 years and thousands of gigs, from the pubs of Australia to the stadiums of the world, AC/DC rode Highway to Hell to international success in the summer of 1979. As the year drew to a close, the decade ahead promised more gold records and good fortune.
Are you rich though? I mean, are you making the bread?
Yep. I just bought Big Ben.
But the band's exhausting workload and equally intense appetite for drugs and alcohol were taking their inevitable toll.
We've been working non-stop since the band started. You just got to have a break occasionally.
Frontman Bon Scott led the partying as well. No one could stop Bon's wild ways, not even his beloved mother.
Got another empty bottle.
You didn't tell Ron what to do. I never went too far. I just said I didn't like him drinking, but when you get to that stage, they don't listen to you.
Under pressure to record a follow-up to Highway to Hell, AC/DC returned to London in January of 1980. Malcolm and Angus Young invited Bon to the studio, eager to play him the new music for their next album.
They were fantastic. You know, he's looking after himself. And yeah, his teeth were all fixed.
Got myself a one-way ticket.
And he said, you know, we're just about ready for you, Bon. You know, so maybe next week sometime, you know. And of course, it never happened, you know.
Bon would never put lyrics to the music Malcolm and Angus had written. On Tuesday night, February 19th, 1980, Bon Scott went out drinking in London with a friend.
He went out just for a drink, a relaxation, you know, maybe to clear the head, you know, and then look forward to getting into his writing, come up with some ideas, you know. He had it all in front of him.
On that cold night, Bon Scott was only 33 years old, but his time was running out. After a night of heavy drinking, Bon ended the evening alone, passed out in a car parked outside his friend's house. In the morning, he was found dead.
From what I still can gather, he had fallen asleep, you know, in a car and more or less, you know, asphyxiated, you know.
He choked through the night, the position he was sleeping in, you know.
During the night, Bon had apparently vomited in his sleep and choked to death. Angus was the first band member to get the sad news.
I had called the guy that was managing us, and he told me, you know, that it was true that he had died, so, you know.
Angus called me. I was just totally stunned. You can't explain a death and how it affects you, you know. Everything just is numb. It's as simple as that.
Wondered, you know, just, what do you do?
Scotland Yard said the body of Bon Scott
was discovered last night in the car.
Post-mortem will be carried out later today. It was the result of some heavy drinking.
Within hours, everyone in the band knew the awful truth, and the media were already flashing the news of Bon's death. Malcolm took it upon himself to notify Bon's family in Australia before the tabloid reporters got to them first.
Someone had to tell them, you know, and it better coming from one of the band than from a newspaper.
Over the phone, yeah, got a shock of my life. Because I thought it was him on the end of the phone. Because I just screamed. Yeah.
Most difficult thing I've ever had to do. God knows how they felt. I hope I never have to do anything like that again.
The band pulled together and refused all interviews, while Bon's death was sensationalized in the tabloid press.
Especially in Britain, they made it a bit of a joke almost, you know, and we've never forgiven them for that. All we were concerned about, mainly at that time, was Bon's parents. They're really nice people. They don't need this.
A lot of the stories are, I don't know, not very good reading sometimes, you know. I just had to skip over the bad bits.
As the grim news swirled around them, Bon's friends and bandmates dealt with the pain of a crushing blow.
I mean, that was Bon's life. I mean, you know, even though he was this sweet, lovely guy, he did drink a lot. He did sort of live the rock and roll lifestyle. to its absolute extreme. But gee, you know, Bon had been drunk before. I mean, Bon shouldn't have died.
It was a loss to us of this incredible character that all of us had embraced, and he'd embraced us all.
Work on AC/DC's new album was suspended, and Malcolm and Angus flew home to Australia to lend support to Bon's parents and mourn the loss of a man who had become brother to them.
When you're younger, you don't really think that something like death is going to touch you. You know, I'd never really had that, you know, a tragedy that close, you know, and especially someone like Bon. It was just one of those things where, you know, one day somebody's there and it's so hard to believe that the next day they're not there.
On March 1st, 1980, Bon Scott was buried in Fremantle, the town where he was raised.
And you go through the motions of the funeral and everything else, but you're just numb. You know, you're just dumbfounded. You can't believe what's really happened, you know.
I don't think we'll ever get over that one, you know. We wanted to continue the band, but we just didn't have the will to.
Without Bon, the surviving band members believed AC/DC was dead. But Bon's parents encouraged them to keep the band alive, that Bon would have wanted it that way.
Let's, you know, we've got their blessing, you know, so let's go and try and do something.
But after 5 years with Bon Scott up front, raising hell and raising the roof, AC/DC's bright future had dimmed, and there was more darkness ahead. Coming up, music for a band in mourning.
We wouldn't have even done him justice in words.
And later, a serial killer and guilt by association.
The press put a lot more to the significance of the hat than the homicide investigators.
When Behind the Music continues.